On January 7th, 2019, Kim Norton officially became the first female mayor for the city of Rochester. Our own Rachel Wick was able to sit down with the mayor and joins us in studio.
Many know Mayor Norton for her decade in politics as a member of the Minnesota House of Representatives. But what people might not know is the unique route she took to get where she is today. This is the real Kim Norton.
How would you describe the first 6 months of your term?
A whirlwind. It has been busy from the very first week.
September 22nd, 1957. Kim Jones was born in the state of Florida, the first of 4 children to a stay-at-home mom and a military father.
My dad was in the Marines, and so we quickly moved to the Midwest, back where our family was, which was from the Illinois-Nebraska area, but we settled in Nebraska. So I grew up in the Midwest, not with the Minnesota nice, but with a similar Midwest warm community.
For the Jones family, education was always important.
The attitude of my family wasn't if you're going to college, it was when you go to college, and it wasn't where you go to college, it's you're going to college downtown.
The first of many paths began at the University of Nebraska. Kim settled into speech pathology and audiology after being told she was too far behind to get into medical school.
I did that for about 3.5 years and found myself worried about spending too much time doing paperwork and not enough time hands-on. So my junior year, I switched to special education.
She became a substitute teacher in Colorado and also went to graduate school for deaf education. She, her then husband Steve Norton, and their children would end up in Rochester, Minnesota.
But we moved here because of the Federal Medical Center as a place of employment for my husband, Steve, at the time. I settled in to raising my family and getting involved in the community, so I did lots and lots of volunteer work.
Although an unpaid position, the Rochester School Board would take up a large majority of this young mom's time.
Were you ever overwhelmed at any point
Of course.
raising children?
Of course, and you know, there were bumps in the roads, and we were working 8-hour days down at the Edison building. I was having, I had a preschooler. I needed someone to watch her, so I was asking, we didn't have a lot of money, only one of us was working, and so I was asking neighbors to help out while I went and volunteered. That whole process was really intensive, but it also gave me a ton of knowledge about how the school district worked, where the money came from, which led me to ultimately start getting involved in other people running for school board, and then ultimately me running for school board.
And also led her to wanting to get things done for education in the state of Minnesota.
It was one of the primary reasons why I ran for the legislature. Schools needed more money, and I saw this inherent fight, the budget process, both for the school district and the state, were at odds with each other. What I found is that it was much harder, particularly the recession hit fairly quickly after I got into the legislature. It was fighting for every penny we could get. I work collaboratively. I like to bounce ideas off other people, and it was becoming less and less able to do that because it was, everybody's in their corners. And that isn't the kind of environment I thrive in, and I was getting frustrated, and I just decided it's time to just get out of the partisan world, come back into my community and find something useful to do here.
Kim and Steve worked hard to make sure they gave everything they could to their children, but they also faced the same reality so many parents face.
I remember, my kids saying, "Where are you?" And that as a school board member and even in the legislature, I wasn't always there. Those are difficult choices to make. You're doing something for your community and for the greater good, and your children are well cared for, but they're feeling left out a little bit. So there were some challenges. Now I think they understand and I think value what I've done.
Hard work and dedication, things Kim Norton was born into. Her passion for serving others would land her in one of her biggest roles yet, a role that would come as an entire city was developing its own path.
In her first few months as Rochester's mayor, Kim Norton has hit the ground running, doing her best to live up to her campaign promises. But it has come with a few surprises. Tomorrow, we'll tell you how she's doing things differently to help Rochester grow into the future.